Hello, everybody. How are you all doing? I hope you, I hope you're well. It's so nice to see you again, and to talk about all the lovely things that are happening in the world. Tell me where you're tuning in from. Tell me where you are tuning in from right now, in the chat. Okay, I see we've got a couple hundred people watching. It's good to see you, and you guys are overwhelming me. Actually, it's too fast. I can't read. Excuse me. There we go. We have Denver, Greece, Singapore, California, Poland, Washington, California, Romania, Hong Kong, Chile, Mannheim in Germany, Oman, South Florida. Look at it. It's just exploding. It's just exploding. Wow. Shout out to Toronto and all of your cities as well. So I thought I'd get to the more pressing matter first, which is the prisoner swap, right? And I realized there might be people looking up Brittney Griner or Viktor Bout or whatever, and they might stumble on this video. So for them, they don't know who I am, so I'm just going to tell them, my name is Richard Medhurst, I'm a journalist, and I've actually covered one of these prison swaps before. So the last time the US and Russia swapped a prisoner was a few months ago with Yushchenko, right? Yushchenko is the guy that the Americans handed over, and I interviewed him. It's on the channel if you want to go watch his story. But right now, let me explain to you, let me give you let me tell you what's happening, because you're hearing about Brittney Griner in the news the whole time right now. This is like front page story, right? So let me try and explain this case as best as possible. So if you can see on the screen, that's her. That's Brittney Griner. Now, she is actually a very famous basketball player. Okay, she's very, very famous in the United States. She plays in the women's NBA, so WNBA, and I think just 2 weeks before the war in Ukraine started, she was arrested in Russia because they found 2 vape cartridges which had like hash oil or something like that in her luggage, right? So it wasn't exactly trying to traffic narcotics or something, but they claim that was in her bag, and that's why they arrested her. I'm just trying to introduce you, like, to give you a run on what's happening. Now, she's facing 10 years, up to 10 years, okay? And her sentencing is very soon. So this is prisoner number 1, okay? And the second prisoner is Paul Whelan, okay? So Whelan, he used to be in the Marine Corps, and in 2020, so just 2 years ago, the Russians, they gave him 16 years for espionage, okay? So if you do the math, he has 14 years left. That's a really hefty sentence. He's prisoner number 2. These are both U.S. citizens. They're Americans. They're in Russian prisons, okay? Like I said, Griner, the basketball player, she's facing up to 10 years, and Whelan doing a 16-year bid. So this is what the Russians have to trade. Now, on the other hand, is Viktor Bout. The Russians really want him, and he was sentenced to 25 years, right? Terrorism charges. He's an arms dealer. If you've watched that film, Lord of War with Nicolas Cage, it's loosely based on him, right? That he's supposed to be playing Viktor Bout. And he was, man, that's a whole other story, right? Viktor Bout. They got him in Thailand. They actually set him up. You know those sting operations where they go in and the police are undercover and they say, hey, you want to buy this or you want to sell me this? Exact same thing. They pretended to be FARC, and they asked them to sell them weapons and so on, blah, blah. So he's being given a 25-year bid, and that was in 2012. We are now in 2022, so he has about 15 years left, although with good behavior and so on, you can knock it down a bit. And so today what's happened is the Biden administration, again, this is on the front page of every, of every news site. The Biden administration, they have offered the Russians a deal, okay? And they're basically saying, listen, if you give us Brittney Griner and you give us Paul Whelan, we will give you Viktor Bout. That's the deal, okay? Here, you can see the headline on CNN It says Biden administration offers convicted Russian arms dealer in exchange for Griner, Whelan. Okay, so this is the supposed deal. Well, let me tell you something. Let me give you something exclusive, okay? Now, I can't tell you where I know this from, but somebody who's close to these negotiations, because they haven't, they didn't just start this morning. They explained this to me. This is not new. This headline that I just read to you. You heard about it today, but this happened actually a long time ago, weeks, months ago. The Americans told the Russians, look, we'll give you Viktor Bout, you give us Whelan and Griner. And the Russians said no. The Russians already said no. Now, again, I'm not defending the Russian position. I'm not saying Griner is this and Viktor Bout is that and Whelan is this. I'm not judging any of these people. I don't know them. I don't know their cases well enough. But I'm just trying to explain to you the Russians' logic, what the Russians are telling the Americans. The Russians are telling the Americans, why should we give you 2 prisoners for 1 prisoner? On top of it, the sentences don't even match, right? So it's not only unfair because you want us to give you 2 prisoners in exchange for 1. It's unfair because Viktor Bout, he gets out anyway in about 8 years, maybe 10 years, with good behavior, who knows, right? But he gets out pretty soon. The prisoners that we have, we meaning the Russians, Whelan and Griner, together that's about 24 years, right? Because if she gets hit with the 10-year sentence, and we already know Whelan is serving 16 years, he has 14 left, so that's about 24 years. Okay, so 24 years versus 15 in the worst case. So the Russians have already answered this. They've already said no. Okay, and the reason that you are seeing this now on the front page, I'll tell you why. Let me tell you why. This is because the Americans are feeling the heat. Joe Biden is feeling a lot of pressure at home. Because Brittney Griner, let me show you, I'm sorry, I showed, usually these pictures, there are people in handcuffs or behind bars. It's not exactly the most flattering pictures. Again, I don't know anything, I don't know her personally or something, but just to, again, explain this to you, Brittney Griner here in the middle, who is a very famous basketball player, she's black and she's gay, okay? So you have 2 minority groups that are fighting on her behalf. You have LGBT groups that are fighting, that are demanding the Biden administration help her out and make a deal with the Russians. And you also have Black Lives Matter and black rights groups fighting on her behalf. Just look at this. I'm just giving you random things, random headlines, just to show you some of the heat. Again, this is from June 24th, from a month ago. So you have advocacy groups urge the White House to do more to secure Brittney Griner's release. Look at all these groups. Look at all these groups and activist groups and organizations. It's incredible. It's literally too many to list. Literally too many to list, okay? Human Rights Campaign, Council for Global Equality. Too many to list. You can see them up on the screen. Here's another headline. This is from NBC. And the headline reads, 1,200 black women press Biden to make a deal to bring Brittney Griner home. Okay? Here, Biden spoke to her wife, right? As calls grow to free Brittney Griner. So he's feeling the heat. Joe Biden is feeling the heat, and he wants to make it look like he's doing something. Well, I'm very sorry to tell you this, but the Russians already know this deal. They were already offered this a few weeks ago and said no. So this is another trick from the Biden administration against their own people, trying to make it look like, oh yeah, we're fighting for her. Look, we made the Russians an offer. We're telling them, you give us Griner and you give us Whelan, we'll give you Viktor Bout. And if the Russians say no, which they already did, say, you see, it's the Ruskies. It's always the Russians. We tried to offer them this prisoner swap. They said no. Again, man, I want to be very clear. I don't know any of these people. I don't know Viktor Bout. I don't know Brittney Griner. I don't know Paul Whelan. I'm not passing any judgment on their character. I don't even know if what they've done or what they've been accused of doing is true. But I'm just trying to explain logically, if you are the Russians, why would you give 2 prisoners for 1 prisoner? How does that make any sense? So I just think this is, I don't know if it's stupidity or it's just arrogance, like basically, yeah, we're the United States. We give you one, you give us two. That's how it goes. That's not going to get you far. It's not going to get you far. Let me point to another example, which I mentioned Yaroshenko earlier, right? The last prisoner swap between the US and Russia during the Ukraine war, right? I mean in general, and my point was that it's also happening during the Ukraine war, was Yaroshenko, okay, Konstantin Yaroshenko versus Trevor Reed, okay? That worked. That went fine. And each of them got to go back home to their families. And again, I interviewed Yaroshenko. I would love to interview Reed because I let Yaroshenko come on here and explain everything that's happened to him, how it happened. And so I want to offer Trevor Reed and or his family the same opportunity to come on here uninterrupted and to offer and to tell us what happened, right? To recount what happened. So I'm just saying that my point is, there was no arrogance then. I feel like it's kind of logical. We'll give you one guy for one guy, not two for one. What is that? I don't know. I think this is very insulting that they lie to people like this. And again, let me put it to you another way. Just imagine that this is actually news, that, this didn't happen a few weeks ago. This actually happened today. Yeah, how does that make it any better? It doesn't change anything I just said in the last 10 minutes. It's still an unfair trade. The Americans would never accept that. Do you think the United States, the Bureau of Prisons, the Department of Justice, the White House would accept to give 2 Russians for 1 American? You think they would do that? No. They want, you want 2 Russians, we get 2 Americans. Equal. Well, I'm sorry, pal. Every other country, most of them, I'm thinking of Australia with Assange. Most countries in the world actually care about their citizens' lives, right? I think it's very arrogant and ignorant to assume that the Russians are just gonna, fall over or roll over, shall we say? I don't think that's logical. It doesn't mean you have to like the Russians. It doesn't mean you even have to believe the charges against them. I don't know if she really had hash oil. Who the hell knows if she had hash oil in her bag? Do you think that's fair? That's proportionate to give her 10 years in prison? What the come on, man. She didn't murder someone. You see that. Again, some people even say the Russians did this on purpose. The Russians are basically, quote unquote, kidnapping, not literally, but, they're basically arresting American citizens to use them as bargaining chips. If that's true, that would be horrific and wrong. Nevertheless, you can't just do 2 for 1. No one's going to accept that. And I want to say another thing, which I want to communicate to you. The Russians are fine with doing 2 for 2. Okay, so right now, they're happy to give Brittney Griner to the Americans and Paul Whelan if the Americans give them Viktor Bout and somebody else. And again, what is the main condition? The most important condition is that the sentences that they have left to serve are equal, okay? So you can't say, Viktor Bout, who has like 8 years left on his bid, 10 years left on his bid, is equal to Griner and Whelan, who have like 25 years, who could have up to 25 years between them. That's not equal. So, basically the Russians are saying, if you want us to give you 2 prisoners, you need to give us 2 prisoners with equal sentences that are left to serve, okay? And this is important. They don't care about the crime. It's irrespective of crime, okay? Espionage, she had hash oil in her bag. The Russians don't care. They're saying equal sentences left to serve. An equal amount of people, okay? Not 4 for 15 or 5 for 1 or whatever you got else. 1 for 1, an equal sentence, okay? That's the very important thing you have to understand. And I think it's kind of nasty that you have so many people that are like hurt and fighting for these people, and the government is playing with them with dropping stories in the press like this. This is old news. This is not new, okay? I don't know if you can see that on the screen. This is not new. This is from several weeks ago. They only just leaked it to the press, all right? It only became a headline because they want to make the Biden administration want to look like they're doing something. Okay, so that's it. I'll leave it at that. And if I have any more news on this topic, I'll certainly fill you in. Once again, if you want to watch my interview with Yushchenko, who was the last guy that the Russians received from the Americans. So again, Yushchenko was a pilot, Trevor Reed, former Marine, and same story, right? The Russians and the Americans, they did a swap 1-for-1, and that was a few months ago. So my interview with Konstantin Yushchenko, it's right here on the channel. Check it out. I think you'll like it, and I hope I get to have him and Reed on at the same time to get their thoughts on all this. They've been through it. Okay, so in any case, I see we've got 1,000 people watching, which is great. Please make sure you've hit the like button, because I only see half the number of likes. Okay? I only see half the number of likes. We only got 500 likes, but 1,000 people watching. So come on, guys. Make sure you've hit the like button. I wanted to tell you something else, by the way, about this deal, or swap, rather. There's no deal yet. The Russians are looking to have another arms dealer with Viktor Bout swapped for Griner and Whelan. But I'm not going to tell you who yet. I'm going to keep that for later. Okay. So again, I really don't know whether it's true what they did, what they're accusing them of. It doesn't matter. What I'm talking about is the prisoner swap. That is the thing that I wanted to tell you, and what they're doing in the news. So we have a comment here from Levy. Levy Roth says, "Subhanallah, I'm so glad you're back. Missed you and your streams. Hope you and all your loved ones are safe and blessed. You're the best." Wow. That is the nicest super chat anyone's ever sent to me. It's so simple, it's so beautiful. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, Roth. And the feeling is mutual. I'm very grateful for that. You're very kind. Just a second. I got a few more super chats from you guys. You guys are sending me a PayPal before I began. This one is from Marissa. Hey, Marissa. Good to see you. She says, sorry, I haven't been on a live stream in a while. Neither have I, but I hope you're well. As always, keep up the good work. You're very kind. Thank you very much. Marvin says, will you be back doing more live streams? What do you think? I literally have to restrain myself not to do them. No, please. I want to do another 14 hours. No, we gotta go through all this. Man, I have so much shit to go through with you. What are you guys talking about? Vogue. So many of you are typing in the comments Vogue and Zelensky. Please don't torture me with this. Oh God, I just know it's something cringy that I haven't seen yet. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Come on. Thank you very much, Leon, for the super chat, or rather the donation on PayPal. I appreciate it. You're very kind. And Graham7 says, I'm so happy that you're back and safe. I love you. Likewise. I'm glad you guys are back and you're here too. Hey, that's wonderful. We have 900 people watching, 1,000 people watching, 800 likes. We're almost there, guys. Come on, let's speed it up. And let's go to the next segment. This one is a bit weird. This segment is a bit weird. I'm going to leave that to the end. I'll leave that one to the end because I really didn't know what to make of that. It's just weird. Now what do we have over here? Yes. Okay. You can't stream in the summer, man. You start sweating. It's like a sauna, you know? I want to, this is unfortunately, this makes me very sad. I just wanted to tell you something very quickly, very briefly, about somebody who passed away, unfortunately. Okay. About somebody who passed away, and they were very kind. So, unfortunately, Eric Levy passed away. he was very old. He grew in very old age, and he was always active in the Assange community. Here's a photograph of him being, dragged away by the British police because he came to protest against the injustice, that's being committed against Assange. And if I'm not mistaken, he died at 96, if I'm not mistaken. And he's very kind. I met him once in London, just very briefly. He's very kind, and he's always been an activist like that. I always heard this sort of legend about him. It's true though. You can look it up and find articles about it. That he went to Iraq before it was bombed to act as a human shield. So he, along with a bunch of other people from the UK, from various countries, they went to Iraq, and they just huddled up in important buildings to act as human shields to stop the invasion in 2003, to stop the British, the Americans from bombing those locations. So very brave. I don't know many people who would do that. That takes a lot of bravery, and it shows you that he's been doing things like that since a long time. Sorry, by the way, he passed away in 94, not 96. Here's a video. This is when I was in London doing the Assange thing in 2020. Look, I posted this on I filmed and photographed this, what was happening. It said police harassing an old man wearing a kufiya as they attempt to shut down a vigil for Assange. So that old man is Eric. It's Eric. And you can see here he's holding bent judges are killing Assange. In the UK, bent means corrupt. So, the police are trying to get him to leave, and he's just like he acts like he doesn't understand and just looks away. It's so funny.
These are being turned upon the people. We need freedom of speech. We need unity. We need community to survive. It's going to be difficult times ahead, folks. We're going to need people to pull together because the police are being used against the people they're supposed to be protecting. That's you and me.
Poor guy. So I just want to say that he passed away. He's really loved among this, entire Assange community, and he's a really good soul. And rest in peace. So let me move on to a very big topic. Okay, so I'm not sure if I should dissect this into two parts because it's about Israel and then the Saudis. If you know what I mean. Mostly the same thing. Well, let's try and do it in one go, shall we? I try my best. I can't promise you anything, though. I might do it two parts. So Joe Biden, he finally went on his trip to Saudi Arabia, right? But before he gets to Saudi Arabia, right, he has a pit stop in Israel, also known as occupied Palestine. And I want to show you a couple of things, right? Just like the little tour that they gave him. This is a first video where people said that he got off the plane and he didn't know what he was doing. I'm going to play it to you, and then I have something to say. Take a look. There's no audio, apparently, which is great. Oh, there we go. Yeah, let me rewind that. What does he say here? What am I doing now? That's the controversial thing. Yeah, so I don't think that's fair. Let me explain this. I know a lot of people like to make fun of he's forgetful, he's walking around like an idiot. No. That's a really good question, because at these sort of functions or receptions, like the guy literally got off a plane, they have bands, they have soldiers, they want to take photographs, you have to stand at a specific place. Of course you would ask, what am I doing now? I'd also be confused. Anyway, that's just one thing, but let's continue. They also awarded Biden, the Israelis awarded Biden with the Presidential Medal of Honor. That confused me at first, because I know the U.S. and in the U.S. military, the Medal of Honor is the highest decoration you can receive. Apparently, the Israelis have their own version of a Medal of Honor. So this is from AP.
Awarded to the Honorable President Joseph R. Biden, Jr. of the United States of America for his true friendship with the State of Israel, the people of Israel, and the Jewish people. His uncompromising, decades-long commitment to Israel's security, his contributions to deepening, strengthening, and enhancing the strong and unwavering alliance between Israel and the United States of America, and his struggle against anti-Israeli and anti-Semitic hatred around the world.
Yeah, all right, I can translate that for you. He's basically saying, thank you, Biden, for being a good lapdog. We really appreciate all that money you gave us and all those things you did for us. Now, afterwards, Biden, he meets with the Palestinians, right? Right, those Palestinians, those pesky Palestinians in Palestine. How can we forget about them? So this is this is Joe Biden meeting with Abbas, and then there was a small clip here. He's saying that. Take a look.
Hello, Mr. President.
You can't hear anything, man. Whatever, it's some nonsense thing that they all have to do, right? Little press conference with each other. It's a farce. It's a farce. What does that mean? He's meeting with one guy that a lot of people in Palestine, a lot of Arabs. Again, I'm not trying to pile on Abbas specifically here, but this is nothing more than a formality. There's no respect for the Palestinians, right? He comes onto their land, walking around with his Ray-Bans, and then just does whatever he wants and picks off and leaves. And I want to say something important, because there's a famous Palestinian journalist who was shot. She was murdered by the Israeli occupation forces. This is Shireen Abu Akleh, right? So that was already, what was that, May 17th when that happened? And she was also an American citizen, right? So unfortunately, I say this ironically, unfortunately, the U.S. government has to pretend to care, right? It's a huge, it's a huge thing to carry on your shoulders. Poor Biden, poor Blinken. They had to put up a front, and so, her family, Shireen Abu Akleh's family, they met with. I think it was Blinken, right? So this is, here, this is from 26th of July. And, family members of Shireen Abu Akleh have met U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken to renew their demands for justice for the Palestinian-American Al Jazeera journalist who was fatally shot by Israeli forces in May. Okay? And what do you think Biden did, right? Because Biden is going to meet with the Israelis who just killed one of his own citizens. One of his own citizens, right? Forget the fact that the Americans and the West are always whining on about, democracy and freedom of the press. I don't see it. It's not just a contradiction of values. That's his own citizen, right? Which he was elected to serve. Do you think he said a word to the Israelis? No. Of course not. Didn't even bring her up. Nothing. Not a word. Not a word. And her family, again, in Washington, right? Again, calling for justice, calling for an investigation, calling for the Biden administration, the DOJ, anyone, just to do something. They're not going to do a thing. I'm sorry, but this was expected. I told you this would happen. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that. And way to insult yourself. No, I knew this would happen. And the other game that they played is the bullet, right? At first, the Israelis said, well, hey, the Palestinians won't give us the bullet. So, to examine it, to establish that we actually killed her. So clearly the Palestinians don't want to cooperate. And then the Palestinians gave it, they wanted to work with international teams, not the Israelis, right? Because the Israelis are the ones that have all the incentive to hide this. And in the end, what do the Israelis come to? What conclusion? They said, the bullet's too damaged to come to a reasonable, to a solid conclusion. I don't know what to say. I can only tell you that we predicted this and we expected this, and I'm speechless. I feel like I'm just repeating myself. This is what they do. They're criminals. They're criminals. They killed this journalist while she was on the job. She's wearing her vest. She's clearly marked as press. She's wearing a helmet. And again, mind you, a lot of people seem to forget that her producer was shot as well. Right? Her producer got hit with a bullet. Thankfully, he's still alive. The other people in the team were also shot at. She wasn't alone. There's several of them. There's 5, 6 of them. They were all being shot at. So, everyone in the world is looking at this and saying Israel did it. All the human rights organizations that are supposed to carry weight, the UN, everyone is looking at this and saying Israel is guilty. Israel fired the shot. No one else at that time in this location could have possibly done that other than Israel. And of course, nothing happens. Biden is just chilling, shaking hands with Bibi and Naftali, right? It's a big club, man, and we ain't in it. That's how it goes. And I just wanted to highlight how disgusting that is, that he went to a country that murdered one of his citizens, and he doesn't even have the stones to bring it up. Not a word. It's very, very nasty. So let me get to the next part of Biden's lovely trip. All right, because it's not over. That was just the beginning. Okay, so the next leg of Joe Biden's trip in the Middle East is he went to Saudi Arabia, and we knew that this meeting was coming for a long time, right? And the problem here, once again, when I say problem, it's like I can just picture the people in the White House and the State Department like, oh no, we have to pretend to care. The problem here is that Saudi Arabia is a country that Joe Biden said he's going to make a pariah. Right? He said he's going to punish them. He's going to do this and that. And, they killed a Washington Post journalist who was a U.S. resident and obviously working for a U.S. paper. And the whole world knows that Saudi Arabia did it. Actually, the U.S. government, the CIA, knows that they did it. And so this is Joe Biden before he got elected. Take a look at what he was saying.
The CIA has concluded that the leader of Saudi Arabia directed the murder of U.S.-based journalists. Directed the murder of U.S.-based journalist Jamal Khashoggi. The State Department also says the Saudi government is responsible for executing nonviolent offenders and for torture. President Trump has not punished senior Saudi leaders. Would you?
Yes, and I said it at the time. Khashoggi was in fact murdered and dismembered, and I believe in the order of the Crown Prince. And I would make it very clear, we were not going to, in fact, sell more weapons to them. We were going to, in fact, make them pay the price and make them, in fact, the pariah that they are. There's very little social redeeming value in the present government in Saudi Arabia. And
wow, that's quite strong, honestly. That's very strong. I'm not joking.
In the present government in Saudi Arabia. And I would also, as pointed out.
So you see here that he's a hypocrite because, Joe Biden is saying, oh, I'm going to make them a pariah. There's nothing redeeming about them. And then what happens? He goes to Saudi Arabia and he does this. Oh, God. Horrible. I mean, this is really bad. It's honestly a meme. I think this is an excellent meme format, if I may say so. But the whole thing is that, his aides and his team were wondering and thinking, well, how do you act when you meet Mohammed bin Salman, the crown prince? Do you shake his hand? Do you, salute? Do you raise your hand? Do you just do nothing because of COVID? No. Fist bump. Like, hey, it's my old friend. What's up? How you doing? You chop up any journalists lately? 1 month ago, this is on June 17th, they're asking Biden, are you going to meet with the crown prince, with Mohammed bin Salman? What do you think Joe Biden said?
The same way I've been handling it. I'm not going to meet with MBS. I'm going to an international meeting. And he's going to be part of it, just like there were people part of the discussion today.
Right, so that's how they've been phrasing it, right? It's an international meeting, and so they got all these Arabs together, these other Arab leaders, and they put on a facade. But Biden needed to meet with them, okay? And I want to tell you one thing, which is very interesting. Do you know how Biden went there? How he went to Saudi Arabia? He actually flew directly from Israel to Saudi Arabia. And the trick here, let me explain the trick to you. The trick is that the Saudis opened airspace to all carriers, right? Because they don't want to come out and say, we're going to let Israeli planes come into our airspace. No, they say, we're opening our airspace to all carriers. So from any country. Okay, so this was very timely, done in a very timely manner on July 15th, just before the visit. How practical. Okay, and this is very important because a lot of people overlook this aspect of Biden's visit. They think it was just about oil. I'll get to that in a moment. This is very important because what they're trying to do is get Saudi Arabia to normalize ties with Israel the same way Trump did it with the Abraham Accords, right? With Bahrain, UAE, and so on. And that's coming. Biden definitely wants to get Saudi Arabia normalizing ties with the Israelis. And this picture of them, doing the fist bump, I mean, this went viral. This is so bad. And it's ironic because, the Saudis couldn't wait to publish this. They couldn't wait to do this because this is so good for them, right? Like he ordered the assassination of a journalist and got him chopped up with a hacksaw. He needs to, MBS, right? He needs to rehabilitate his image. And the president of the United States just landed and gave him a fist bump. Speaking of landing, when Joe Biden landed at the airport, do you know who came to greet him? No one really. Man, usually when the president of the United States shows up at your door, this is not, no matter what you think of the U.S., this is not just some random bozo. It's the president of the United States. And they sent a princess and the governor of the Mecca province. They didn't send the king, and they didn't send Mohammed bin Salman. That is very disrespectful. I know some people might look at that and think, yeah, well, who cares? No, this is, it's another form of body language, or non-body language, shall we say. Okay? You have to understand these signs. It's very important. And, the meeting was quite awkward. Here's a moment when the press were allowed in. And they started suddenly shouting at Biden and MBS, like, did you guys do anything about the journalists that you chopped into pieces, Jamal Khashoggi? Is there an apology? Is there anything? Take a look. I think it was someone from the Washington Post.
Thank you. Jamal Khashoggi, will you apologize to his family, sir?
Thank you guys. Thank you guys. President Biden, is Saudi Arabia still you guys? President Biden.
Right, so Jamal Khashoggi, will you apologize to his family? Nothing. And here's something funny, because Biden's team are claiming that in private, when Biden was with MBS, he raised the issue. And then a Saudi minister came out and said, no, that's not true. We never talked about that. God, that's so embarrassing. Here's a U.S. journalist who was, part of the team with them. Look what she said about the visit.
Again tomorrow, when other Gulf leaders are here in Jeddah, and then the conflict in Yemen. The administration would like the truce to be extended. Human rights, as you mentioned, is a big thing. The president has not committed to raising the Khashoggi murder directly with the Crown Prince in his meeting. He was asked that publicly yesterday and didn't make a commitment. So,
see, there you go. So he refused to raise it, and here's the response from Khashoggi, as they say in English. Let's just say Khashoggi then, so there's no confusion. Khashoggi's fiancée, who he was set to marry, this is what she tweeted about Biden's behavior. Okay, her name is Hatis. Okay, And she says, this is what Jamal Khashoggi would tweet today. Hey, President of the United States, is this the accountability you promised for my murder? The blood of MBS's next victim is on your hands. And for those of you, just to give you background information, Khashoggi is, he was not only a very prominent columnist at the Washington Post, but, you know, he was a dissident, right? So he had a falling out with the Saudi establishment. He became very critical of them. He left Saudi Arabia. And then when he went to pick up his passport, I believe, in the Saudi consulate in Turkey, that's when they got him. They hacked his phone, they traced his location, and they murdered him in a very brutal way. So here's what we have so far. We know that Joe Biden did not raise Jamal Khashoggi with MBS. So he lied about, oh, we're going to make Saudi Arabia pariah. Oh, I'm going to hold them accountable. Oh, this and that, blah, blah, blah. Very good. You know, what politician actually tells the truth when they're making campaign promises or afterward? So we know that. Now, why did Joe Biden come to Saudi Arabia then? What's the point of his visit? He dressed it up as an international thing, right? They got some other Arab countries to participate and conveniently, you know, placed it in Jeddah, in Saudi Arabia. But what is the real point of his visit? It's oil. It's oil. Again, this is politics 101. The United States, you know, since that infamous deal in 45 on the USS Quincy, the Saudis made a deal with the Americans. You guys give us security, you know, military equipment, so on, and we give you oil. That is the deal. It's a very simple deal, and it has many dimensions. And right now, Biden needs oil. He needs a lot of oil. Why? Because the war in Ukraine has sent gas and oil prices soaring. Here's from the U.S. government. This is from their own stats. This is from the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Look at the Look at the spike in gasoline prices in dollars per gallon. And where does this begin? Well, right there. It's after the war starts, after the war in Ukraine starts. And it's gone down a little bit recently, but it's still up. It's very, very high. Actually, I wanted to ask you guys when we began, can you please tell me in the comments right now, because we're live as well, can you tell me, what are the gas prices like where you live? Because you guys were sending in videos, pictures of your supermarkets. You were taking photos at the station, you know, showing me how much you're paying. So please tell me, because, again, we have the data, but I actually want to hear from you. And Joe Biden went there because he wants oil, right? He needs the Saudis to pump and produce more oil, because when you put more oil on the market, then the price goes down, and that would solve a lot of problems at home. Right now, there are the midterms coming up, right? This year, 2022, you have the midterm elections in the United States. And the way it's looking, again, I really don't know what's going to happen, but the way it's looking, you know, the Democrats, they're going to lose that majority. And, you know, one of the main issues that is going to drive people to vote against Democrats or not vote at all for them is, of course, you know, gas prices. And be very attentive to this, because, you know, you might be thinking, well, I don't drive a car, for example. How does it affect me? Oh, buddy, plenty, because the food you're eating, the clothes that you're buying, you know, the places that you're going with public transport, whatever you're doing and consuming needs to be produced using oil. Right, at some point in the chain, so everything goes up. All the prices go up. Yes, this is what we see when you have sanctions on countries or blockades, particularly like in Yemen. And ironically, they say that Biden went to Saudi Arabia to discuss Yemen. Yeah, they extended the truce. I'll get to that afterwards. So, did Biden succeed? Did Joe Biden, the superhero, corn pop superhero, did he succeed in his mission? He embarrassed himself with the fist bump. He didn't raise the issue of Jamal Khashoggi. What about the oil? At least that, maybe it was worth it? No. So the White House put out a fact sheet, which, you know, of course, it's the White House. Why would they lie? And they say here that there's new cooperation on energy security with the Saudis, right? Oh, look. the United States welcomes the increase in production levels 50% above what was planned for July and August. Yeah, they were going to do that anyway. We already talked about this a few months ago. That this was planned anyway, and they just moved it up 1 month. That's nothing. This is not enough. And they established some bilateral framework on clean energy. Nothing about oil. There's nothing about oil. And they lied on top of it. They lied. Okay? So the Americans, they pretended that they scored some kind of deal. It's not true. It's simply not true. As soon as Biden left, or he barely stayed 24 hours, this is what starts to happen, okay? You have the Saudis saying very clearly, we did not agree on anything with the Americans, and we're not going to produce more oil. End of story. And here they start giving these these justifications here. This is from a Business Insider. It said Saudi Arabia can't boost its oil production any further in the medium term. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman said Friday at a summit attended by President Joe Biden. Right? And what else did they say? Well, listen over here. Okay? This is an interview with the Saudi Minister of Foreign Affairs with Bloomberg. And take a listen to what he has to say when she asks him this question.
President Biden also last night insisted that there will be more oil coming onto the market in the coming weeks. You, after the meeting, had said it matters about supply and demand. So was there no ironclad agreement that the kingdom would help the president in this issue of higher oil prices?
It's not about an agreement. It's about the kingdom's long-standing policy of working to ensure that there is adequate supply of crude oil on the markets. And we follow.
Look, it's over. He's not answering that question. He's BSing her. Okay, he's feeding her words. Let me tell you, that goes on for about 3 minutes. There was nothing. There was nothing. I'll just play it anyway, just so you can enjoy him trying to
follow the supply-demand situation very carefully, and we determined that if there is a potential shortage, that we work on increasing crude oil production by Saudi with our OPEC partners and OPEC Plus partners. We do this on a consistent basis. If you look at the past 9 months, we have been increasing production substantially. If you look at the steps we took a couple of months ago, we accelerated the plant production increases by several.
So Joe Biden, no deal. No deal, unfortunately. But Israel got a few things, right? So these two islands, you have U.S. troops that left them. It's a non-story. They're very important because of their geographic location on the Red Sea. So I shouldn't say non-story. But my main point here is that basically Joe Biden went to Saudi Arabia, for nothing. He wanted to get the Saudis to produce more oil, and he failed. They're not going to do it. And this is a slap in the face, and it's a very hard pill to swallow. It's very hard to digest because the Saudis, who do you think they export oil to the most? It's not the United States. Who's buying up more Saudi oil? The Chinese are, the Indians are, right? And they're also buying from Russia, by the way, okay? And dealing in different currencies and denominations. This is a new world that's being formed. Now, whether it's going to be good or bad, I really don't know, man. I really don't know. But this current system, you're seeing it fall apart. This is really something. And if you go and read all these magazines and news outlets, they'll try and rationalize why Saudi Arabia did that. They'll say, oh, well, Biden wasn't tough enough on Iran. He didn't drive enough bombs into Iran and destroy their nuclear program because, Iran is a threat to Saudi Arabia. Yeah, okay. Blah, blah, blah. Typical garbage that they feed to university students. That's not it. That has nothing to do with it, And the less gung-ho version of that is, well, it's the Iran nuclear deal. No, it's not just the Iran nuclear deal. This is one thing. This is one thing. Another thing that they try to blame this on, they say that, well, it's the war in Yemen. A few months ago, within the last 12 months, I should say, I know that it was within the last 12 months, the Americans pulled their surface-to-air missile defense system from Saudi Arabia, right? They withdrew it. And what does that mean? Well, you had Houthi drones and Houthi missiles, they say are backed by Iran, coming and blowing up Aramco during the Formula One competitions and making the Saudis look all messy and like they're not in control of the situation. Very embarrassing, right? Very, very, very embarrassing. And so the Saudis, they have less defense capabilities now, right? Here you go. This is it. So this was what I was talking about just now. This is actually exactly almost a year ago, right? So June 2021. This is from Wall Street Journal. They said that the U.S. military is going to withdraw hundreds of troops, aircraft, anti-missile batteries from the Middle East. And of course, this left sort of a hole in the Saudis' defense. But that's it. And then, of course, if we look at the other thing with, the other dimension of this problem is the war in Ukraine. The Americans, they're just not backing down. The Russians are not backing down. The Saudis have to hedge their bets. They're looking at the situation and calculating what to do in this new world that's being forged. And a lot of countries are sitting back and doing that right now, calculating. And the Americans, in the Saudis' point of view, they're just not providing enough security. They're not selling them enough weapons. They didn't do anything about Khashoggi, but that's not enough. At least Israel won, though. This was a very smart one. They're very... At least Israel got to benefit after all, right? That's what matters. So now they can use Saudi airspace. Wow. I mean... That's really an epic fail. That was really something. Look at this guy. What a bozo. That was the worst thing he could have done, and he got nothing out of it. He embarrassed himself, and the United States looks weak. And they got pushed around by Saudi Arabia, and the US. I don't know how long this bromance is going to last. It's not looking good now, anyway. It's not looking good. So, welcome everybody. I see we've got 1,300 people watching. Please make sure you've hit the like button. I'm not done, and we're going to continue. We're going to continue with the next segment. So, what do you guys think, by the way, about this prisoner swap that I was telling you before about? Paul Whelan, Brittney Griner versus Viktor Bout. Now, the funny thing is that movie that some of you might have seen with Nicolas Cage, Lord of War. Again, like I said, it's loosely based around Viktor Bout. And at the end of the film, you see him being arrested. Yeah, I mean, they arrested him in the US, I think, in the movie. It's not true. I mean, the movie, again, is loosely based. It's not a copy or anything. But my point here is that in the real story, in real life, Bout was trapped in Thailand, right? Let me just tell you how they did this, the Americans. It's very smart, really. So they posed this FARC. FARC is this left-wing guerrilla group, the Colombian one. Here, let me put up their logo on the screen so you can see. Here, can you guys see that? I'm trying to put it up. So in any case, you have these American agents who pretended to be fighters in the FARC, and they kind of got access to Bout's entourage, and then they finally got to have a meeting with him. And again, they basically ran what's known as a sting operation, right? And this guy, he got 25 years. 25 years in prison. That's a minimum sentence. They actually wanted to, the prosecutors wanted him to get life. And I want to tell you something very interesting, because in the courtroom, again, I'm not saying this guy's an angel by any means, I'm not saying that he hasn't wrought destruction in other places. I'm not saying that by any means. I'm just telling you about the sting operation that they ran. So they tried to say that he was like some kind of enemy of the United States, and he wanted to sell these weapons to all these groups to destroy U.S. helicopters. Do you know what's funny about that? Literally just a few years before, the U.S. government was one of his clients, right? So he has all these planes. That's his thing. He has planes, and he moves cargo through them, with them, and some of that cargo, a lot of that cargo, is weapons, as far as I can tell. And the United States government was using some of his planes to fly stuff into Iraq, like as a private contractor. The French government, many governments worked with him, and then from one day to the next, they don't want you, and they're gonna come for you. It's the mafia, man. It's the mafia. And I'm not saying he's a nice guy or he did nice things. Again, you're selling weapons. not exactly the most honest profession, but nevertheless, I think the sting operation is crazy because they basically gave him 25 years in prison for a crime that he didn't commit because he wouldn't have sold anything to them if they hadn't come to him. Like, they made the whole thing up. And this is in Thailand. They did this in Thailand, and then they're working, of course, with the Thai government, and they snatched him and brought him to the U.S. extradited. It's wild. It's wild. It is so wild. And I want to just add one more thing, because when we talk about Yaroshenko's case, right, again, he's the prisoner that was swapped for Reed between the U.S. and Russia. Yaroshenko's case is even crazier because he was in Liberia. The United States and Liberia have an extradition treaty, and they just didn't bother using it. They're like, no, we're going to torture you and kidnap you. What the hell? What the hell? Wow. Really, wow. So, let me continue with... You've had a lot of summits, huh? You have had a lot of summits and things moving around in the Middle East lately, right? Biden's visit to Saudi Arabia, his visit to Israel, and, of course, in the meantime, you have big things going on in Iran, right? So let me tell you a little bit about that. Just make sure that you can see this when I put it up on the screen. Okay, so just a moment. If you guys have just arrived, please make sure you hit the like button. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe. This is independent journalism and commentary. And you're not going to find much of that anywhere else. So thanks for your support. Okay. So like I said, at the same time that you have all of these things going on with, Biden's visit and... Man, I'm really thirsty. I have been speaking for about 1 hour nonstop. I need to get something to drink, so please just give me a moment, okay? Just give me 1 second. I'm going to get something. I know I teased you there for a second, but I promise it's worth it. You're going to like this. Okay, so maybe you can just look at... that's Putin coming down, right? Yeah, they should have put the White Putin song on. You can't have Putin walking without the White Putin song. Excuse me. Sorry for the little pause. Let's continue and do our thing. Okay. So about the same... So around about the same time that you had Biden visiting Saudi Arabia and Israel, you had a summit in Iran's capital, Tehran. It's very important, very big. Now, who attended the summit? Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, and also Turkey's president, Erdogan. And they said that the top issue, or one of the top issues they want to discuss, is the war in Syria. Right? Because all of these countries, Iran, Russia, Turkey, are involved with Syria in one way or another. Okay? And here you can see very quickly... This is Raisi, the Iranian president, with Putin and Erdogan. There you go. So they said they want to talk about that and some other issues, about grain, I think, as well, in Ukraine and so on. And let me tell you what happened. Just very quickly, just so you can see these clips. That's Raisi, the Iranian president, welcoming Erdogan. Are they sure it's Raisi? I can't see from behind. Oh yeah, there we go. And then, of course, here you have Putin arriving. Look at the title, by the way. Isn't it so funny? The title says, Russia's President Putin looks shaky as he lands in Tehran. What does that mean? He looked shaky. Okay. Anyway. Hey, I defended Biden getting off that plane. Okay, so I'm doing both now. Here is what happened. There's a very interesting article that I want to read some bits to you about. And this is a very important meeting, right? Without me even going any further, you know it's important. You know it's important because you have Iran, you have Russia, you have Turkey, all these international regional powers getting together. And you don't see that too often. You don't see that too often. Okay? And let's see. This is from Arab News, okay? And the headline says, Turkey returns empty-handed from Tehran summit. Okay? There's the lovely photo I showed you. The 7th trilateral summit in the quote-unquote Astana format between Turkey, Russia, and Iran was held last Tuesday in Tehran, where the situation in Syria was reviewed, right? So that's the main issue. As announced beforehand, bilateral meetings were also held between the leaders. So, again, not only did they meet in a group of 3, but they also met on the sides with each other. Now, Turkish President Erdogan declared intention to carry out a military operation in Syria. That's one of the other top issues that they discussed because, Erdogan, Turkey, he's saying that he wants to go further into Syria. They're already occupying Idlib and, cutting off the water in Hasaki and so on. And he wants to go in 30 kilometers deep to make a safe zone. So he's persistent, right? He's adamant, and he won't let this go. Even the United States is opposed to that. So it's not just, about Syria, Iran, and Turkey being opposed to that. Even the US, which is its NATO ally, okay? And they have this issue, of purchasing 40 new F-16 fighter aircraft, with 80 of them already in the Turkish Air Force inventory. So they have many, many things the Americans and Turks are discussing. And I love this sentence here. They say, when 3 such important actors, plus Syria, like as if Syria is not an important actor. What do you mean? It's literally in Syria. Anyway, when 3 such important actors plus Syria are opposed, the operation, even if it's eventually carried out, is likely to become a symbolic move to give the impression to the people at home in Turkey that the government has fulfilled its promise. So they say Erdogan did his best to explain his case at the Tehran summit, right? He pointed out that there was a consensus in 2019 to establish on the Syrian side of the border a 30 to 40 kilometer corridor, which would be exclusively patrolled by Turkish soldiers to ward off terrorist attacks in Turkey. However, the project never materialized. And so Turkey was expecting support from Russia and Iran, partly from the US, to clear the areas controlled by Kurdish fighters. So just to explain this to you, Turkey... Erdogan, or let's focus on Erdogan right now. He is telling the Syrians, he's telling Iran and telling Russia, telling the US, you guys need to let me go in Syria and invade more land because these terrorists are there. And who is he talking about when he says terrorists? For him, the Kurds are the terrorists, right? So he says the YPG, which is inside Syria, is affiliated to the PKK in Turkey, and so therefore it's also an extension of the PKK. It's a terrorist organization as well. And I find this very funny because he's talking about terrorists while protecting other, we're protecting real terrorists, right? Like he's protecting people from Al-Qaeda, right? Every time an ISIS leader is killed by the Americans and assassinated, where do they get them? Both times it was Idlib. And that's where Turkey is. And that's where Turkey has these forces that it's supporting, which are Al-Qaeda. So I find this very funny that he's the gall to talk about terrorism, but okay. So take a look at this. Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, was the first to say to Erdogan that not only the PKK and PYD terrorists, but the militants protected by Turkey had to be eliminated as well. Raisi went one step further and said that all foreign forces should leave Syria, meaning Turkish and American forces. and Turkey-supported militants, because unlike Russia and Iran, they had not been invited to Syria by the legitimate government of the country, right? So that's a very, very important point, because if we want to talk about foreign forces inside Syria, well, trust me, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of them, right? But who's occupying the oil fields in Syria? It's the United States, and they're helping the SDF to do it. And who's occupying Idlib? It's Turkey. Did Syria invite the United States to come and take its oil? I'm not even saying that, like, again, for some of you, you might be new, you might be thinking, well, I'm just saying that they're stealing the oil. No, man, there's tons of videos, we watched them a million times. They're just, like, racing out with these oil tankers. They're just stealing it out in the open. No shame. So, did Syria invite the US to come and occupy its oil fields and steal its wealth? No. Did Syria invite Turkey to create a safe zone, or to occupy Idlib, or to boost and support terrorists, militias, whatever? No. So you can't compare that to Iran and Russia. And I am sure that Iran and Russia will leave as soon as the war is done. Remember, though, that this goes back to 1973, so very long time, right? Over 50 years, the Russians, they have a naval base in Tartus. That's something else. That's a very old agreement. But generally speaking, I am certain that once the war is over, they will leave, because the only purpose that they're there, like what the only purpose that the only reason that they're there, the only purpose they serve is to help the Syrian government and the Syrian people not to be invaded by Al-Qaeda terrorists, not to lose their wealth, and so on. You get rid of the threat, they're going to go home. That's it. End of story. Now, here, let's continue with the article, and let's talk about the summit. Okay? To what extent these remarks affected Erdogan's attitude is difficult to tell, but his body language said more than the statement that he delivered at the plenary. At no stage during the summit did Erdogan look relieved. On his way back from Tehran, he told reporters in the presidential plane that Putin and Raisi had different views from that of Turkey on the Syrian question. Putin and Raisi also objected to the construction of houses by Turkey on the Syrian side of the border. Firstly, because it was Syrian territory, and secondly, because the refugees to be returned to Syria should not be forced to settle in an area that is not theirs. Do you see? This is a very important point. This is something that also relates to the Palestinians, because one of the tricks that they used to steal their land was that, well, let's just build you like these tiny concrete things, sanctioned by the UN, like these really tiny huts. They're just concrete huts, and it's just temporary. We promise it's just temporary. We want to put you inside of a structure just temporarily until everything is settled and fixed. 40 years later, 50 years later, they're still there, right? So this is very an important trick to watch out for. And again, most importantly of all, it's not Turkey's business to decide where refugees inside Syria should go. And again, I think we should be very grateful to Turkey for taking in the refugees in the first place, because many countries wouldn't, right? We shouldn't lose sight of that they took in 2 million refugees. At the same time, that also provides Erdogan with a lot of leverage against the EU. It provides them with a workforce. All these people that are coming in, these are families. These are people that are going to go work, they're going to consume. But in any case, I just want to go back to the summit and just kind of give you my commentary as we go along, right? So, the article says that Russia, Iran, and the Syrian government have already started to strengthen their military presence in areas where Turkey might attempt to carry out an operation. Although not part of the summit agenda, there were other important issues taken up during the bilateral talks between the leaders. Okay? So they talked about opening a corridor for the shipment of 1 million tons of Ukrainian grain trapped in besieged Ukrainian harbors. Okay? That was discussed between Erdogan and Putin. And they also resulted in 2 parallel agreements. Okay? So one agreement between Turkey, Ukraine, and the UN, and a second between Turkey, Russia, and the UN. So this, the border crossing, we've talked about that before, but I just kind of wanted to tell you what's going on, because it looks to me that Erdogan had a really rough time there, right? If you look at the things that they told him, Raisi, who's the Iranian president, or you look at what Iran's leader Ali Khamenei said. I mean, they gave him a spanking. They gave him a walloping verbally, right? They told him, no, you get out of Syria. It's not about, safe zone and no safe zone and terrorists. You stop supporting terrorists and you get the hell out of Syria. You have no permission to be there. We have permission. It's none of your business. Building houses for refugees, none of your business. Get out. And I gotta say it's nice. I gotta say it's nice because we need someone, Syrians need someone to defend them, especially in this situation when the whole world is ganged up against us. It's nice to have actors like Iran, like Russia, standing up for Syria, which, Syria that's being kicked while it's down. Again, they want to take more crap. They want to do more things. It's none of your business. Get out. So, Erdogan, this is, if I'm not mistaken, right? This is after the summit. He still comes out and says, I'm going to do it. He still comes out and says, I'm going to attack in Syria. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I might have misread the date on that. But this picture really angered a lot of people over here. Yeah, this picture, because you're seeing Russia, you're seeing Putin meeting with Iran's leader Khamenei and the Iranian president Raisi. It's very powerful. It's a very powerful picture. It's a very, very, very powerful picture. And you have a lot of trolls that are angry about this. This is the new world that we're coming in, The neoconservatives, right? George Bush, his father, Colin Powell, Donald Rumsfeld, all these dirtbags, they came into this millennium saying they want to establish a new world order, and they went out with this crusade, this war on terror, and slaughtered and murdered and displaced millions of people, millions of Arabs, millions of Muslims, just continuing their dirty work from Latin America, all of this on an unbelievable scale, drone striking people, you name it, torturing them, you name it. And they think that they're going to shape the world, right, in their image. No. They're getting a smack in the face now. And again, I don't know if this new world that we're going to transition into is a good one. I can't tell the future, but this current one is not good. It's untenable. It's really nasty. Again, I saw a video here where they say Putin forced to awkwardly wait for Turkey's President Erdogan. So this is again during the summit, and they say that he had to wait for like a minute or something. Again, this is all part of the body language. This is what I told you. For example, when Biden went to the airport, Biden landed in Saudi Arabia, and no one went there. No one came to greet him at the airport, right? No one of similar or comparable stature, right? The president comes. The other president should meet him. Or, the prime minister, at the least. No, they sent the governor and some princess. Who is that? I mean, no offense to them. But, the language means a lot. The body language and these signs. And it's kind of funny because, we're in a movie or something. Look. Let's all smile for the camera. Just to go back to what I was saying, it's kind of silly in a way. Okay, yeah, you had to wait 1 minute. What are you, a child? Who cares? No, it's so serious. Oh my God, he's insulting me. We better direct our missiles there. It's wild. This is wild. We gotta move our missiles. It sounds like something Trump would say. Here you have a headline from France 24, and they basically talked about this statement that was put out because apparently Iran and Russia and Turkey, they put out a joint statement about fighting terrorism in Syria. And once again, I just find this so funny because the only reason that ISIS is not occupying half the country anymore, it's of course, you have to give credit to the Syrian army, but it's Hezbollah, it's Iran, it's Russia. And the only reason that you don't have a black flag, an ISIS flag over Damascus is, again, it's Hezbollah, Iran, Russia. You don't have to like them, but that's just a reality. So when you're looking at this conflict, well, who's on this side? Well, I can tell you on Syria's side is very few people, and Turkey is not one of them. Turkey was very much involved in Syria. It's not just occupying Idlib now. A lot of terrorists came through the border between Turkey and Syria. And again, I give credit for taking refugees, and that's a very honorable thing to do. At the same time, though, there are some elements that let these things happen, that let arms and terrorists come through and destroy Syria. And you have Turkish troops occupying Syria. That's not allowed, right? So you're not going to hear that, of course, because right now their focus is Ukraine. But about that statement, I found that kind of funny. Like the guy's harboring, like, what do you mean, man? Fighting terrorists? He should go home and start with himself, right? Or rather, his proxies, or whatever you want to call them. Now, just a last thing to tell you, while this summit was happening, the Syrian foreign minister came to Tehran, right? So, here you can see, there he is. Mikdad, that's his surname, right? So he's the foreign minister, the Syrian foreign minister, and he's sitting with the Iranian foreign minister, and this is on July 20th, and they're, of course, discussing what I just told you, what basically took place during the summit. And Damascus said that the Turkish president did not achieve his quote-unquote goals during the summit with Iran and Russia, referring to Erdogan's efforts to rally support for a military operation in Syria. That's true, right? So Erdogan, he's getting no support for this from the United States, his NATO ally. He's getting none from Russia, none from Iran. Everybody's and of course Syria is telling him, go away, don't do this. Don't do that. And the summit didn't help at all, right? So, in any case, here they say hours after the summit concluded, like I told you, Mikdad came there himself. And I go back to this quote where Khamenei told Erdogan that any Turkish offensive on Syria would be detrimental for the region, and called for the issue to be resolved through diplomacy. Okay. So that's it from now. That's it for now. Perhaps the last thing that I would do is I would show you a map. Usually I would have done that at the beginning just so you can visualize it. But nevertheless, just to kind of finish with what we're talking about, this is, of course, the safe zone that Erdogan wants, right? He wants to go into Syria and take some more land, and it looks like this, right? So it's this red line that you see, 30 kilometers. And guess what this region is, guys? Guess what region this is in Syria? What do you think is grown here? What do you think is extracted here? Of course, it's wheat, crops, and most importantly, oil. This is the oil region. Now, I don't think Turkey's particularly after the oil or something. They certainly profited from it back when ISIS and these other groups were controlling it. They let the trade go through. That's another thing, for example. But nevertheless, you see why the Americans are occupying this, because they're trying to choke the Syrian government financially, right? It's part of the package of sanctions against Syria. In any case, we'll leave it at that, and I'll keep you updated if there's any more news. Just something I wanted to highlight, because I find this very important, I think it's extremely important to look at what's happening in the world right now, because you had Biden going to Israel, going to Saudi Arabia, and at the same time, practically at the same time, you have Putin, the Russian president, you have Erdogan, the Turkish president, going to meet with Iran in Tehran, and then the Syrian foreign minister is going there. Like you're seeing a tectonic shift, new alliances being forged, new consequences, a new reality emerging from what happened in Ukraine. The start of this war. It's really spurred on innumerable consequences in terms of international relations. So that's why it's really important we look at Biden's what business he got up to there, and we look at what happened with this Tehran summit. So important. When you see pictures like this, it's not it's a beautiful picture or something. It's not about that. It's about what this means in terms of international relations. And we know Iran and Russia are working together already, but it's going much, much deeper than that. I'm sure you saw that Iran is now going to transfer drones to the Russians. The Russians want to extract Iranian gas, right? They've come in and signed a memorandum of understanding. This is a deal worth $40 billion because after Russia, Iran sits on the largest gas reserves. So really extraordinary things that are happening behind the scenes, but they're not going to tell you that because this is a fracturing, it's a collapse of the, I'm not going to say the Western world as a whole and you know, from one day to the next, but let's just say a shifting of alliances, right? Thank you guys very much for the super chats. Please give me a moment to read them. Fragile says Turkey will get slapped when the time comes. It's not good to be too cocky. I guess Erdogan's wild wishes to build new Ottoman Empire will fall. I mean, I know what you're talking about. You know, a lot of people tend to joke about Erdogan, that he views himself as some sort of, you know, emperor. He wants to revive the Ottoman Empire. I mean, who knows, man? Sometimes it really looks that way. But just to give you an idea of, you know, why people say that, let's look at where Turkey's involved. Turkey's involved in Syria, as we were just talking about. Turkey's involved in Libya, right? You guys may not know this, but a lot of those fighters, it comes in handy when you've got militias lying around. You just put them in a plane and send them to Libya. Yes. If I might add, if I may say, Russia is also involved in Libya. You know, a lot of things happening behind the scenes. It's absolutely crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. But thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Let me get to them all. And just a moment. I'm trying to see here. I think they've gone into the history, so give me a moment. I'll pull them up. Again, thank you guys very much for supporting the show. I haven't plugged the show yet, and I'll do that in a moment. We got a sticker from Hermai. Thank you very much. Zook says, good evening, dude. Have a good one. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and you have a good evening yourself. Toilet Sauce, what an amazing name. Toilet Sauce says that Zelensky did a cringy photo shoot with his wife, because, you know, that's what you do when nobody cares about you anymore. Is that what you guys were talking about? I started the stream and you guys were just spamming me with Vogue Zelensky. Please don't make me go through this. Oh, God. Why did you guys have to make me do this? Leon says, I'm so happy you are back. I was thinking you had been banned from YouTube or that party extended for too long. Nah, God forbid. And, you know, everything's fine. And I appreciate that very much, Leon. Hope to see you around as well. And Epic says, hey, Richard, I've been following your channel ever since the war in Ukraine, and I'm glad you're back and safe and sound. Thank you. What do you think of the situation going on with China and the US right now? It's scary right now. Yeah. Again, this is something... I was reading some articles. Let me try and pull it up. You know, it's those typical Atlantic Council types who are saying that, you know, the United States' response in Ukraine is just not going to cut it when it comes to China. We need more. We have to do more this and more that. And of course, the military budget. How big do you guys think the military budget is in the US? Oh, God. Shall I show you? Shall I show you? Because you you are not going to believe this crap. We are really getting to that level. There we go. Oh boy. Actually, this is something else. But I'm glad you mentioned China. Here are two things I want to show you, okay? This is from Telesur. The US Congress approves a record $840 billion annual defense budget. Wow. Is that with or without Ukraine? All the billions that you gave them, we lost count. We lost count, man. Wow. So the House of Representatives of the U.S. Congress approved the country's defense budget for fiscal year 2023, which begins in October, totaling approximately $840 billion. This figure includes a $37 billion boost to Biden's defense budget. Wow. Wow. And so the House bill allocates around $808 billion in discretionary spending to the Pentagon. Well, when we talk about discretionary spending, again, that's separate. When we talk about discretionary spending, I think the White House spends about half of it on the military. So not the total budget, but I mean, regardless, this is astronomical. Just to put that into context, if the U.S. has $840 billion, Germany now spends $100 billion on its military. Do you know how much Russia spends? 49. That's literally a fraction. It's a minuscule fraction. So you've got 49 billion being spent to Russia versus 840 in the US. It's incredible. Just pissing this money away at contractors, the CIA, weapons manufacturers. Remember, it's not just about the gun you're holding. Every soldier needs boots, they need pants, they need fatigues, combat fatigues, they need a dress uniform, they need a kit, they need to have a helmet, they need to have all sorts of things, right? That costs thousands to kit out every soldier. And there's a lot of people in this process making a lot of money. And it's all about business. And this is the problem, again, like I've said many times, when you have people who come from, who have a mindset of, I want to make money. And I want to make as much money as possible, even if it kills people, and even if I rob my own fellow countrymen. That's their mentality, right? They're just greedy Wall Street types. I don't know how else we can describe them. Or maybe the Wall Street types deserve their own thing, but they're really greedy and disgusting. And what can I say? It's on the flip side. Maybe it's not even a money thing. When you have people like Roosevelt and Ronald. Ronald Reagan and all the neocons after him, which we know, right? Okay, so you can throw in Powell, Bush Jr., whoever you want. These people, I feel like there's really an ideological aspect to it. It's not just about money. Like they firmly believe in what they're doing. They really think that they are a force for good. They really think that it's their business. It's okay for them to go and bomb other people's houses. The ends justify the means, and that's also a big problem. It's not just about money. We shouldn't just reduce it to that and quote unquote insult their intelligence. They're very cunning, is what I'm trying to say. Very cunning. And it's so funny because they're freaking out about Iran, right? They're freaking out about Iran sending drones to Russia. Yeah. I want to show you something over here, which, again, it's. I'm trying to find the video. I just want to play it to you because it's so funny. You have the Pentagon warning Iran not to give drones to Russia. Can you imagine? I think it might be, this might be it. Was it Kirby? John Kirby, our favorite spokesperson. Oh man, he's funny. Well, in any case, Right. Okay. So this was it. Here you can see this article. So take a look at this article. This is from U.S. News. They say that the United States warns Iran cooperating with Russia in Ukraine is a really, really bad idea. Wow. So Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin warned Iran against supporting Russia with its invasion of Ukraine a day after the intractable U.S. adversaries publicly expressed a desire for new forms of cooperation, including potential weapons exchanges. Right? So Austin, who's again the U.S. Defense Secretary, said, quote, "We would advise Iran not to do that." He said that, quote, "We think it's a really, really bad idea." Again, we have a problem here where, you have defense officials, government officials in the West who speak to other countries like their children, and I think this is it's adding salt to the wound. It's a very, very bad thing to do. To quote Austin, it's a really, really bad idea. Who do you think you're speaking to? This is like cartoonish stuff. And so the story is that, of course, Iran is now going to hand over some of its drones to Russia. Okay, now people are speculating to say, well, hold on a second, is Russia's production knocked out? Are the Russians so desperate they're going to Iran? Like as if Iran's drones are not good. Let me show you something. Again, and I don't condone, I'm against war and I hate war and all this stuff, but I just want to put into perspective. This is what a supposed Iranian drone can do, right? This is the Aramco, the Saudi oil company's hit by the Houthis in March, and they said, again, it's not me. They said that was an Iranian drone. They said Iran came and it's giving weapons to the Houthis and supporting them and giving them drones, and they're behind this. Okay, well, if Iran is behind that, are you really sure you want to talk to them like they're children? Are you gonna keep laughing about the drones? Because I don't think that's a joke. And it's best to avoid all of this and fix things diplomatically. But again, it's this arrogance, this cowboy like chewing bubblegum, got the revolver. I'm the sheriff in town. Better watch out. And on top of that, of course, what happened? Well, you had Iran and Russia giving Erdogan a walloping, right, verbally. And in addition to that, gas exploration, right? So this is worth about $40 billion. And it's a memorandum of understanding that was signed just a few weeks ago. Okay? So Gazprom, which is the Russian gas company, they signed a tentative deal worth $40 billion with Iran. Okay, this is between Gazprom and the National Iranian Oil Company. And the deal, which was agreed to on July 19th, coincides with the summit that we talked about. Okay, and basically the Russians are going to help the Iranians develop their gas fields and oil fields. And keep in mind again that Russia sits on the biggest gas reserves in the world. Number 2 is Iran. So if you think they're going to run out of resources magically, or again, they're missing the big picture here. They just can't see that there's a new world being formed. What am I supposed to say? And again, one of those things is, ballooning the military budget up to $840 billion, and then doing stuff like this, right? So this is from the New York Times. The Senate passes a $280 billion industrial policy bill to counter China. Okay. Again, all about China. They're cooking this up. They're getting this ready. They're prepping you. Okay? They are prepping you. They're getting you ready to accept the future conflict with China that they have in store. And they'll start one way or another. They always lie. They always lie. Gulf of Tonkin, Iraq, Syria, they always lie, always lie, always lie. And it's only afterwards, after 10 years, after 15 years, that people finally go, oh shit, oh yeah, okay, maybe it was them. It's too late. What about the people there? What about the civilians? Well, it's always, oh, okay. Man, come on. You know, if you, let's take a look at let's take a look at this picture over here. What do you see? Who is threatening who? Are those US bases surrounding Iran or Iranian bases surrounding the US? It's normal when you feel threatened like that, when you are threatened like that, you know, with military force, that, you know, you're going to look elsewhere and form alliances with other people that are also being screwed by the same person. And, you know, when you look at China, again, it's not just a question of bases on land, but things like AUKUS, you know, they want to help the Australian Navy to be a bit more advanced so they can work under them, not with them. That's really what it is. You know, AUKUS is basically the United States giving the Australians a bit more advanced weaponry to help them when they attack China, right? So they can be good little doggies, just like the you know, the other Four Eyes, you know, the UK, Canada, New Zealand, and you know, they go and they surround Iran with an aircraft carrier. They fly a B-52 next door, you know, as a show of force. They do the same thing with the Chinese. They put bases around them. They put aircraft carriers around them. And then they say, oh, look at these bad people. We have to spend this money. We have to take your money. You know, I'm sorry, you can't have health care. I'm sorry, a blood test costs $300. I'm sorry. China. Hold on, man. I don't live in China. You don't live in China. What have we got to do with China? Why can't we fix this? What's in Europe, right? In the West, what's in the US? Why can't we do that? No. It's China. Iraq, Syria. Never ending. Same old shtick, man. It's sickening. And no one cares. I wonder how many nightly news shows are gonna come and protest this absolutely obscene, this preposterous, outrageous, you know, incorrigible excuse for a defense budget. What the fuck are you defending from, man? 840 billion, man. You better be defending against some fucking aliens. You asking for 840 billion? What the fuck? What is going on here? Are you under a zombie attack at all of your 800 bases that you need 840 billion? What's happening here? What kind of defense you got going on? Wow. I swear, man. They got some cheek. They really got some cheek. Wow. I don't know. I was trying to answer someone's question. I forgot what they wanted. Anyway, I'm glad you guys are here. Darren says, any chance we could see you do a collab with the Duran boys? I think it would be great discussing Syria, Assange, and geopolitics. Sure, I'm happy to collaborate. I just give me a second. I'm just trying to look them up on YouTube. I think I know who you're talking about. Just 1 second. Forgive me. That would be really cool. And man, you know what's crazy is how YouTube like tries to cover up people's channels. It's incredible. You can't find them in search. Wow. It's okay though. And thank you, Darren. And Graham says, I'm so happy you're back and safe. I love you. Thank you very much. And I already answered Marvin about doing more live streams. What do you think? What do you think, man? Kapapa, I can't read your name. I'm sorry. It says, any information on the Iraqi parliament protest? No, I swear I was starting to read up on that, and then I was getting distracted, and not preparing the other one. So I'll have to come back to you on that one. Okay. Constantine says, I made a speech in school and credited you as a source. what is it about the Assange stuff? In any case, that is very cool. If you have a video of it or a transcript, I'd love to read it. That's very heartwarming. Thank you. That's so weird when someone says that to you, right? It's the first time that I've actually read it as a super chat. You guys send way too many nice comments. It's innumerable. So again, thank you. Rizza says Erdogan should never forget who saved him in his administration during the 2016 coup. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that. It looked like he was gone. Let me explain something to you guys. You know, I was on a computer or something, and I see this news that there's someone's trying to, take down Erdogan and get rid of him, oust him in a coup. And then all of a sudden, there's this footage. They're airing this footage of somebody like filming a phone where Erdogan is video chatting or calling in with like FaceTime or something, and saying no, everything is fine. I swear we have the situation under control. Yo, it really doesn't look like it, man. It really does not look like it. But yeah, he certainly got to keep his throne, shall we say? Gorgonzola, thank you for the super chat. Welcome back, Richard. Your thoughts on the UK sanctioning its own citizen, Graham Phillips, for covering the Donbass conflict? Oh, they're doing that now, huh? Wow. I didn't know about that. Let me look that up. Really? Wow. They put sanctions on him. What the fuck? I mean, I'll give you my thoughts. and actually, I was going to save this for the next live stream, and I will. So I'm going to tease you like that. Too bad. You have to tune in next time. You guys know about Alina Lip? Similar story. Not exactly, but the same sort of European government, crapping all over one of its own citizens for telling the truth. So I will talk about her, and I thank you for bringing this to my attention, so I can also talk about Graham Phillips. Thank you. I will certainly do that. I appreciate it. And yeah, I see all you guys are saying yes. Monique is asking, when is the next stream? Well, now I can tell you, I have fixed the schedule for that. So the next stream, we are Thursday now, right? Or for me, crossing over into Okay, so we're Thursday. The next stream will be on Saturday at 6 p.m. CEST. So again, if you're in New York, that's noon. If you're in London, that's 5 p.m. If you're in Paris, that's 6 p.m. So 6 p.m. CEST on Saturday. Okay. Man, I had a... Oh my god, what did I just click on? Hold on a second. Riza says the Duran is Alex and Cristoforo and Mercurius. Yeah, of course I know them. I'm sorry, I there was something on the tip of my tongue and I wasn't sure when I was looking them up. It's like that rings a bell. Of course, yes, they're really good. I would love to collaborate with them in any fashion. That would be great. Dude, let me tell you guys something. It says here on YouTube. Let me read this to you. It's like a $sign. It's just a button with a $sign, and they said like creators earn more money when you insert an ad with most people watching. Like, what does that mean? Are you guys seeing an ad right now? What did I click on? I'm gonna click it again. I don't know what's going on. Are you seeing an ad? Yeah, look. Omar says YouTube is putting ads on live streams now. I'm sorry. I was just trying it out, man. I'm sorry. I'm just trying it out. Oh god, capitalism is so innovative, right? It's so innovative. It's actually really not. But wow, that's crazy. All of you guys are saying that you got an ad. Okay, well now I know that. Stay away from the dollar. Awesome. Okay, so again, I forgot to plug the show, guys, so please let me plug the show. If you like what I do, Of course, subscribe, but if you want to support financially, you can either be bombarded by live ads. Now I have the button. Don't make me press it. Or you can send a donation on PayPal or join on Patreon. I don't know. Look how high we were. This is ridiculous. We had, I don't know if this number is still correct, but over 900 people subscribing on Patreon. That is amazing. That is amazing. So if I may, please ask you to go and sign up on Patreon. You can, I don't know, you can donate like $2 a month or $1 or £1, whatever you like. You see, you can just pick. Those are just random ones on the screen. I'd really appreciate it, you know, because let me tell you something, man. This is independent journalism. It's a one-man show, and you know, we've been here since the beginning together, right here on this YouTube channel where we started. And we're always going to stay here. So I'd really appreciate it. And I'm thankful to all of you who've donated, who've just even sent a kind word. I'm very grateful. And, you know, if you want to support my work so I can keep on doing it so those motherfuckers can't, you know, get to us, God forbid, then please sign up on Patreon. Please donate. I'd really appreciate it. Anyway, I'm just going to show you the things now on the screen and see what's up. So... okay. I'll talk about the Alina thing. It's really messed up. Yeah, I'm not going to spoil the subjects for next time. I'll just keep them on, and we'll talk about them next time. All right. So, thank you, Sam, for the super chat. It says welcome back, welcome back, youngin. No, I appreciate it very much. So, guys, the next stream, write this down. Get your phone out right now. I'll wait. Get your phone out. Get your pen and pencil. The next stream, will be on Saturday at 6 p.m. CEST. So, again, that's if you're in Paris, it's 6 p.m. If you're in the UK, it's 5 p.m. If you're in New York, it's noon, right? If you're in Los Angeles, it's 9 a.m. So set a fucking alarm. All right, let's do it, man. Monique says I just programmed it into my phone. Lovely. That's great. So I'm so happy to see you, all you guys. And Ziad is asking me what time is that in Egypt. بس ثانية حبيبي. هلا بشوف لك. In Egypt, it would be the same time, actually. Yeah. Come on. الساعة 6. So in Egypt, 6 p.m. الساعة 6. الساعة 6 الظهر. All right, guys. That's great. That's great. Oh, God. Do you guys really want... Okay, fine. I'm just going to do this because you spammed me. One last thing. Oh, my God. I don't want to look at this. It's so cringy. Is this what you guys were talking about when you said Vogue? Because I am offended. It's this thing. It's Zelensky, so Ukrainian president, and his wife. I don't know anything about his wife. And it says portrait of bravery, Ukraine's first lady, and it's a picture of her with sandbags, I assume, behind her. All right. And I read one line, and I was like, oh my God. I mean, let me be very clear. Yeah, I don't know about this one, but this is a very nice picture. Like, just subjectively speaking, yes, it's a very nice picture. But you know what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to basically romanticize and you know, shove this propaganda down your throat. Imagine just for a second. Actually, holy crap! What is it? They actually did that before. I think they put Assad's wife in a magazine. I'm not kidding, man. I think they also did some piece on her, like, oh, Syria's first lady and so on. It's funny how they turn on you, but not something like this. It wasn't like, oh, a photo shoot on Vogue magazine or something. No, it's just propaganda, man. It's just propaganda, and it works. It works very well. Look, this is a really good picture. What the heck?
That's a really nice picture, like objectively speaking. And a nice office, man. Look at the Chesterfield couch and everything. Motherfucker knows how to live. Anyway, I'm not going to break this down now. We're going to do this next time. I told you 6 p.m. CEST on Saturday. I will see you guys then. And please support the show. I really appreciate it. You can donate $2 a month. Whatever you like. $1 a month. Even $1 a month helps the show and helps to support the show. And we also have a crab dance to play if somebody joins. So that's also good. Give me an excuse. Come on, man. Somebody join so I have an excuse to launch a crab dance. It's like a missile. I need to get a dollar button and a crab dance button. Don't make me press them. What else was there? I think there was hold on, Claudia. I'll ask her just a second. Oh yeah, there we go. See, you can also go on PayPal or whatever and scan the QR code and it does everything for you. Either way, thank you guys very much. You've been very kind to me and I appreciate it. And we have some super chats from Joanna. Joanna says, love you, Richie. I love you too. Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Thank you guys very much. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Masanami. Bye-bye. What the hell? Oh man. That's really something. That is really something.
I am once again asking for your financial support.
A is for
all men and women created by go. You know the thing.
B is for
I'm beginning to see why your wife left you.
C is for
Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
D is for
Don't worry, I'm so serious. Children, I love to hear them.
E is for
An excuse to walk by the dealer and say, no, I'm not going to be a mule. I got something to do. I got to go do boom, boom, boom.
F is for
Time friend, and she's a friend. She's been my friend in and out of public life.
G is for
Go to Joe 30330.
H is for
Hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down.
I is for
I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
J is for
Just look at the record.
I have President Biden, Vice President Biden.
Well, I tell you what, if you look at my record and you still doubt about my commitment, then you should vote for somebody else.
K is for
Kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
L is for
The lion, dog, face, pony soldier.
M is for
Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone, make sure the kids hear words.
N is for
NATO.
O is for
The only African American woman that's ever been elected to the United States Senate.
P is for
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
R is for
Rest her soul, and although she's your mom's still alive.
S is for
Send a text to the word united.
T is for
Truth over facts.
U is for
Union workers, the UAW took incredible cuts in their future.
V is for
Don't vote for somebody else.
All right, thanks so much.
W is for
Wait. You're getting nervous, man. Calm down. It's okay.
X is for
Xi Jinping.
Y is for
And you ain't black.
I am once again asking for your financial support.
A is for
All men and women created by